The next sacred space I would like to talk about on the story map is Camp St. Gabriel, which is located in Solon, North Dakota. Before I begin, I would like to reflect on UNDRIP Article 25, which reads, Indigenous peoples have the right to maintain and strengthen their distinctive spiritual relationship with their traditionally owned or otherwise occupied and used lands, territories, waters, and coastal seas, and other resources, and to uphold their responsibilities to future generations in this regard. Camp St. Gabriel, also known as Camp Gabriel or St. Gabriel's, is located on Standing Rock, a Lakota, Nakota, and Dakota reservation in North Dakota. When Teddy Roosevelt was president, 40 acres of land were donated to the Episcopal Diocese of North Dakota by the late warrior in chief Red Hill, who fought in the Battle of Little Bighorn. Chief Red Hill offered the land in order that his people would have a house of God among them. Since 1996, Camp Gabriel has been the hub for Standing Rock's summer youth ministry and serves the Indigenous youth of Fort Yates, Cannonball, Kennel, Porcupine, Mandan, and Solon with 3-day overnight summer youth camps. Camp Gabriel also offers training opportunities and convocation meeting space for the North Dakota Council on Indian Ministry. My first encounter with Camp Gabriel happened in the summer of 2018 when my family and I spent 2 weeks preparing the grounds, gathering supplies, and participating as staff and campers at the youth summer camp. I spent most of my time working with a mission team from a Philadelphia Episcopal church, planning, preparing, and serving meals for the campers and staff. Camp Gabriel was the first place I experienced Indigenous ceremony as part of worship. In chapel, sweetgrass and sage were burned, and hymns and prayers were sung in Lakota. Day 2 of camp was the most intense day where campers were invited to get real about the problems in their lives, like addiction, suicide, and rape, and strengthen bonds of trust with other campers and staff to move beyond their struggles, knowing that God was with them, for them, and could help them. In the evening of the second day, campers met at the sacred fire, which was built in the middle of the camp, to journal and participate in a ritual to release their burdens into the sacred fire. Each camper was given time to reflect on their burdens and write them down. If anyone felt moved to share aloud, they were given the opportunity. Although few youth spoke up, most of them seemed relieved to cast their cares into the sacred fire. To lighten the mood, camp songs and s'mores were roasted afterwards. Shortly after the campers were done with the evening activities, I began cleaning up the area that was close to the sacred fire by picking up trash from the s'mores and preparing the area for the next day's activities. I was all alone when suddenly and out of nowhere, I heard drum beats and men chanting. The men sounded old, and the drum was faint, like it was off in the distance. I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck starting to stand on end, but I was not startled. It was as if I was glued to the earth and a force was preventing me from moving. It was a moment in time that I will always remember, but cannot fully explain. Could I have heard a wasipi or powwow all the way in Solin? Was one going on nearby and I was hearing chants being carried through the night air? This did not make sense because the nearest powwow location was an hour away in Little Eagle, South Dakota. I looked around to see if anyone else was experiencing the same thing. No one was around. All of the staff and campers were in the bathhouses, and the chapel, where a drum might be, was all closed up. The next day, I asked around if anyone else had heard the singing and drumming, or if they had had a similar experience while at camp. Everyone thought I had lost my mind. Why was it that I was the only one who heard this chant and drum? Was I delusional? I honestly believe that at that moment, time collapsed, and I was hearing the ancient song of warriors who had gone before. I do not think they were singing for me, but they definitely got my attention. I am encouraged by their efforts to reach the youth, and I am still awestruck by their nearness in order to pass their wisdom on to their relatives. Over the next few days of camp, I began to understand that at that particular moment in time, the land remembered, and it was alive with stories to tell. I believe the sacred fire and prayers drew the ancestors near. I believe that that moment was holy and that I was standing on sacred ground without fully realizing it. I am committed to helping Camp Gabriel expand its mission to cultivate and protect this sacred space so that all Indigenous youth in the area have an opportunity to experience the closeness and power of their ancestors. In closing, I would like to reflect on a poem out of Lifting Hearts Off the Ground, Declaring Indigenous Rights in Poetry. This poem is written by Lila June Johnston and is a reflection of her understanding of the Drip article number 25, which reads, it's October 27th, 2016 in Cannonball, North Dakota. Rubber bullets thud. My brother coughs up blood. Bravery and grace stand to the mace, sprayed in the face with the foul taste of hate. Seems like we've been here before. A chemical war. Choppers and planes fly low, so low they can hear our prayers for them, for our water, for our children, for a world lost in fear. Through it all, we know nature will have the last word. We will perish apart from the sweet riverbank of truth, the truth of the perfection of Creator's design. Let us back into the lands of our grandmothers, and we will show you the way home. Thank you.